Let's talk to Marco Forgione, who is the Director General of the Chartered Institute of Export and International Trade. Marco, thanks for helping us to make sense of all of this, because obviously you have a real understanding of what all of this means. So, I mean, are you still confused a little bit about, whether it's open or closed, or are you a little bit more confident this morning in terms of direction of travel?
So good morning, and it is a positive morning because all the messaging coming out of Switzerland is that the strait is going to be opened, and both sides, Iran and the US, have agreed that that is the case. So we hopefully now will move beyond the uncertainty and the sort of hokey-cokey of opening and closing of the strait to a more sustainable process for ships to transit the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, one of the previous times we talked about this, Marco, there was a lot of chat around the level of risk, whether it was worth taking the risk. So what level of traffic have we seen in recent days? Is everyone kind of on the page of saying, right, it's safe now? Or will there be a little bit of sort of hanging back just to see how the land lies?
For the first couple of days last week, when the strait was open and both sides agreed to open the strait, we saw more ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz than any time since the middle of April. So there is a growing trust that the strait can be opened, and a willingness from the ship owners to transit once there is confirmed by both sides that they will allow ships to pass safely, so that there is hope that the strait can open. Of course, once Iran made their statement, that cut the transiting over the weekend, but we hope now over the next couple of days to really see those flows opening up again.
Is that in both directions, Marco, or is this ships glad to get out of the Gulf? Or are we seeing many ships coming back in for potentially to load up again and try to get back out?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Most of the traffic is out of the Gulf. These are ships that have been stuck there for weeks and months. So it's getting ships out currently. There are fewer going into the Gulf, understandably. But if the peace holds, if the safe transit holds, I think we will then begin to see a normalisation and ships flowing in both directions.
And Marco, you can't flick a switch with something like this and say, brilliant, everything's back to normal. And the other thing that people might think about, at some point, if losses have been acquired here, is this going to be passed on to the consumer? So if the answer to that second question is yes, where might we see that? Are there certain products, certain areas and industries where we might be hit in the pocket a little bit for money that's been lost in terms of some of the things that, that are going to be moved around the world now again?
So we're already seeing the impact of the closure of the strait in both availability of products, on price inflation, and that's across the board. Key areas that are affected, of course, are fuel. So we've seen the price of energy spiking at its most up to over $120 a barrel. We're back down somewhere between 70 and 80 now. That has an impact not just on energy, but on the petrochemical byproducts. Things like helium gas, which are essential for the manufacture of semiconductors, and on fertilizers, which has an impact, of course, on the crop. That won't really be felt until later this year and into next year. And then there's also the impact on plastics, which are essential for so much in the manufacturing sector. So we're seeing that pressure, that price inflation across the board, and indeed the dread of shrinkflation already hitting consumers.
Yeah, so but beyond fuel, the pain in terms of financial pain may still be to come for a lot of people, depending on what it is that they're purchasing. Marco, listen, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks for making time for us. That's Marco Forgione, who is the Director General of the Chartered Institute of Export and International Trade.
It is.